Ready? Action.
Hello everyone, it's been an exciting few days for Nikon photographers with the announcement of the Nikon Z. A few things have happened. Nikon rumors was validated. The Nikon Z Facebook page can now be deemed an official page. Creators with Nikon Z8s were everywhere. It was amazing to see photographers test the Z9 all over again in a smaller body. They basically had to keep a straight face.
All right, so here it is. First impressions of it's chunky. Definitely chunky. Right, let's go shoot it.
So in this special edition of Photo News Brief, I will talk about how the Nikon Z8 has changed my life. No, that's another video. Today, since you've probably seen all of your favorite creators' videos on the Nikon Z8, I will talk about how this camera might change the perspective of your photography life. Now it's time for another Photo News Brief Special Edition. To start the video, I want to thank all the subscribers and non-subscribers for watching my Z8 videos. It's been a tireless journey for the past 4 to 5 years, looking at blogs on Reddit, Facebook, and commenting on blog pages about a non-existent camera. Yes, it may have even been longer. Everyone expected the Z8 before the Z9. It only made sense. Hi, my name is Vaughn. I'm a longtime user of Nikon cameras. Did this hype get to me? Yes, it did. It made me press that pre-order button. I wonder if it was all peer pressure. After watching the Z8 launch event at 7 a.m. Central Time, my time, on an unspecified computer, I felt like a kid sneaking a peek at the latest toy. After the announcement, I had a personal conflict. What was I doing pressing that pre-order button? Was I gonna feel buyer's remorse after the hype was over? Let me help you figure out whether this camera checks the boxes for your photography life. To keep the length of this video manageable, I won't bore you with all the specs that are the same with the Z9 and the Z8. I'll start with the price. This was a driving factor for me. $4,329 with tax. I hope my wife's not watching. Is this the bargain of the Z9's price of $5,500? Sure it is. With the Z8 being smaller than the Z9 and having the same technology, I started to wonder about planned obsolescence. Will I still be holding on to the Z8 when the Canons and the Sonys of the world release their new cameras this year? This camera technology is already 2 years old, but if you think about it, most of the technology in this cameras are overkill for the average consumer anyway. $1,500 price cut to own a 2-year-old technology is about right if you counter inflation. Nikon doesn't have to discount the Z9 now. Professionals get the Z9 and I get second prize the prosumer Z8. That's a great deal. Next, I want to talk about that 45.7 megapixel sensor and how it might help me with my event photography. Now I'm using a Nikon Z6 II with a 24 megapixel sensor for low light event photography because it creates less noise at higher ISOs. At one time, I owned a Nikon D800 with a 36.3 megapixel sensor. I like that high megapixel sensor because I could crop full body shots to get a half a body shot, and I could crop things in the photo to remove distractions. I love this option, but this power gave me the fear of the blurry photo. Since this was my first high megapixel camera, I had to increase the shutter speed and spend more time chimping to make sure I didn't have camera shake. DSLR cameras didn't have 6 stops of image stabilization to counter camera shake back then. Since the Z8 is 45.7 megapixels, you will need all of that image stabilization due to the sensor size. You can now check that box, ordering it on pre-order. Having all that subject recognition is a good thing. Human faces, animal faces, bird faces, cars, trains, bikes, vehicles, oh my. Now we have airplane detection. Who could ask for anything more? I don't need more subject recognition. Even with the Z9, subject recognition means extra time fine-tuning the camera settings manually to achieve good subject recognition. Even with Canons and Sonys, you have issues with the box being in the right place on people's faces. As you add humans, darker backgrounds, snow, rain, contrasting clothing, subject recognition becomes a little more difficult. Canon, Sony mirrorless owners, please leave those comments if I'm not right. I love those comments. Most won't check this box because they like using basic autofocus functions. We will let those risk takers use subject recognition. If you're a risk taker, then please subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. By subscribing, you will receive opinions on Nikon cameras from someone that has owned and spent countless hours solving Nikon problems and taking my own risk. Look at what Nikon did for their prosumer photographer. They added an SD card slot. 2 CF Express B cards is expensive. Most of us don't have an expense account like sports photographers. They use multiple CF Express cards. If you want to use that burst mode, you will need to use the CF Express B cards. Can you use just one card? Sure, but you won't be able to use all the upscale functions of the Z8. Look on the other side of the camera. Nikon added 2 USB-C ports. You can use one to charge the battery and the other one for data tethering. This is great for the average photographer that doesn't need a dedicated Ethernet port. Now to end this special edition, I want to talk about the size of the Z8. When I first got my hands on the Z9, I wasn't disappointed at the size because I own a Nikon D3S. Carrying around an oversized camera like the Z9 and framing shots can be a challenge if you're not using a tripod or monopod. That camera is heavy. Handling the Z9 with 45.7 megapixel sensor can create camera shake due to the weight and the size of the camera. I'm a fit guy, but a Z9 will cause fatigue if you're holding it for 30 minutes. Your arms and your legs will get weak. So occasionally I look through posts on Reddit, Facebook, Nikon rumors, and I noticed a few people that purchased the camera and they complained about the size and the complexity of the menus. This made them return the camera. Now we have the Nikon Z8, which is 30% lighter than the Z9, but it's still heavy and still has the same menus. If you're a portrait, wildlife, or sports photographer, the Z8 is a great second body. At this point in my photography life, I need a second Nikon camera that I can use to do the things that the Nikon Z6 doesn't. Maybe you are looking for that next camera to fill that void in your photography life. If you have a camera in mind that would fill the void in your life, then leave a comment. The Nikon Z6 III and the Nikon Z7 III are now on the rumor mill. Now that I helped you decide whether you want to give the Nikon Z9 a second look in its new body as the Z8, I will tell you my own story about what happened on May the 10th. I pushed the pre-order button and proceeded to purchase the camera, but fate had other plans for me. My order somehow wasn't taken as of today. I've been on the phone with Nikon, and to my surprise, the wait time was only a minute after going through the menu. I talked to the rep at Nikon and they said I don't show an order. Is this something in the technological universe that's trying to tell me something? I wonder. Leave those comments if you were the Z8 or had a similar situation like mine. Those comments help other Nikon users, new and old. Thanks for watching my channel. Please subscribe.